This video is a review of graphing quadratic functions. When you graph a quadratic function, it will create a parabola or U shape. It could be up or down. When graphing, either create a table and graph the coordinate pairs or use the characteristics below to graph the function. I like to use a combination of the two. Okay, so here are the characteristics of quadratic functions. It can either be presented in standard form, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c will be replaced with numbers when it's a function, x and y will stay as variables. Or vertex form, y equals a times x minus h squared plus k, where again, a, h, and k will be replaced by numbers and x and y will stay as your variables. So the vertex is either the top of the U shape or the bottom of the U shape. And you can find the vertex in standard form. It is a coordinate pair. So the x coordinate can be found by doing negative b, which b would be your number multiplied by x, divided by 2 times the a value, which is the number multiplied by x squared. When that's simplified, you just plug that back into the equation for x, simplify the right side, and you'll be able to solve for the y coordinate of the vertex. If it's in vertex form, it's super simple because inside the parentheses, x minus h, the h value will be the x coordinate. Outside, whatever added on will be the y coordinate of your vertex. The axis of symmetry is just a line down through the vertex on both of these, where because it's a U shape, it'll be the same distance, the U sides will be the same distance away from that line of symmetry no matter where you're at on your parabola. And I'll show you that when we start graphing. Y-intercept, where the actual graph crosses the y-axis. So in standard form, the x coordinate is 0 because it goes through the y-axis. The y coordinate is plus c, so whatever is added on. And in vertex form, you know it goes through the x-axis at 0. So just take that 0 and plug it into the equation for x, simplify the right side, and you can find the y coordinate. Okay. So here are a couple of quadratic functions that we're going to graph. The first one, y equals x squared plus 2x plus 2. The first thing I like to do is find the vertex. I know that the vertex in this form is negative b over 2a for the x coordinate that I'm going to plug that value in to the equation to find y. So to find the x coordinate of the vertex, negative b, which would be 2 over 2a. The a value is 1, the number multiplied by x. So we have negative b is 2 over 2 times a, which is 1. 2 times 1 is just 2, and negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So for the vertex, the x coordinate we know is negative 1. We need to find the y coordinate by plugging negative 1 back into the equation for x. So we have y equals negative 1 squared plus 2 times negative 1 plus 2. Going to simplify. Negative 1 squared is just 1. Plus 2 times negative 1 is negative 2, plus 2. 1 plus negative 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 2 is positive 1. So y equals positive 1. So this is our vertex. I'm going to plot that point. X is negative 1, y is positive 1. Okay, I also need a couple more points so I can figure out what this graph is going to look like. I'm going to use a table for that. So plug in some x points and you'll get out the y coordinate. So I'm going to do a couple points bigger and a couple of points smaller on the x-axis. So I'm going to say, how about for x is 1 and 0 would be 2 points larger than it, and -2 and -3 would be 2 points smaller than it. I'm just going to plug those x values into the equation on a separate sheet of paper. So here's my equation right here. I'm going to plug in x is 1. So I have y is equal to x is 1 squared plus 2 times the x value is 1 plus 2. 1 squared is 1 plus 2 times 1 is 2 plus 2. 1 plus 2 is 5. So the y-coordinate is 5. Next one, I'm going to plug in where x is 0. We have y equals, again using the equation, 0 squared plus 2 times 0 plus 2. And I'm going to simplify. 0 squared is just 0, plus 2 times 0 is 0, plus 2. And when you add that all together, well, you only have 2. So the y-coordinate is 2. All right, plug in -2 for x. So y is equal to -2 squared plus 2 times -2 plus 2. So we have y equals -2 squared is 4. Plus 2 times -2 is -4 plus 2. When I add these together, 4 plus -4 is 0. 0 plus 2 is 2. Okay, last one. Y equals, plug in -3 for x, -3 squared plus 2 times -3 plus 2. -3 squared is 9. 2 times -3 is -6. Bring down the plus 2. I have 9 plus -6 is 3, and 3 plus 2 is 5. So that's my last y-coordinate. Now I'm just going to plot these points on my coordinate grid. So when x is 1, y is 5. When x is 0, y is 2. When x is -2, y is 2. When x is -3, y is 5. Okay, and I can see that my graph is going to go up in this direction. Whoops. Again, my vertex is, oops, those aren't very even. My vertex is right here, so the bottom of the U shape. You can see this is also my axis of symmetry, where no matter where you go out, the distance from either side to the axis of symmetry should be the same all the way up. Okay. So now we have y equals 3 times x minus 1 squared minus 2. And if we go up to our chart for the characteristics, you can see we can identify the vertex very easily. So the h value here, which is 1, is our x value. The k value here, which is -2 since it's minus, is our y value. So the vertex is very easy to find in this form. So x is 1, y is -2. I'm going to graph that. X is 1, y is -2. Then I'm going to pick a few points. Again, I like to do 2 to the right, 2 to the left. Okay, so if the x value is 1, well, 2 to the right, we have 2 and 3, so I'm going to start with the largest. We have 3 and 2. 2 to the left, 0 and -1. Okay. And I'm going to plug these into my equation and solve for y. So my equation is right here. I'm just going to plug them in. We have y equals 3 times, my x value this time is 3. So 3 minus 1 squared minus 2. Okay. Order of operations say do what's in the parentheses first, then do exponents, then multiply. So simplify inside the parentheses. 3 minus 1 is 2. That is squared minus 2. Common mistake would to be multiply right here, do 3 times 2, but you have to do exponents first. So we have 2 squared is 4 minus 2. 3 times 4 is 12 minus 2, and 12 minus 2 is 10. So when x is 3, y is 10. Okay, and I'm going to plug in my next point. X is 2. We have y equals, plugging it into the equation, 3 times 2 minus 1 squared minus 2. Start inside the parentheses, 2 minus 1. So we have 3 times 2 minus 1 is 1 squared minus 2. 3 times 1 squared is just 1 minus 2. 3 times 1 is 3 minus 2. And 3 minus 2 leaves us with 1. We're almost done. We just have 2 more to do. Plugging it into the equation, x value of 0, we have y equals 3 times 0 minus 1 squared minus 2. Y equals 3 times, well, 0 minus 1 is negative 1 squared minus 2. 3 times negative 1 squared is 1 minus 2. 3 times 1 is 3 minus 2, which leaves us with 1. And our last one we're going to plug in is where x is negative 1. So we have y equals 3 times negative 1 minus 1 squared minus 2. 3 times negative 1 minus negative 1 is negative 2 squared minus 2. 3 times negative 2 squared is positive 4 minus 2. Y equals 3 times 4 is 12 minus 2, which leaves us with 10. So when I graph these points, I can see when x is 3, y is 10. When x is 2, y is 1. When x is 0, y is 1. When x is negative 1, y is 10. And I'm going to connect them. This one's a little bit steeper. Definitely you can see. Okay, so which is the result of this 3 on the outside where it's, this 3 out here where it's being multiplied by the x squared value, opposed to this one where it's just 1 multiplied by the x squared value, so that's making it steeper. All right, so there's a couple of problems that I would like you to try. Go ahead and pause the video here. When you're done, come back and I'll show you how to do them. Okay, so number 1, again, if we want to find the vertex, we have the x coordinate, negative b, which is 4, over 2 times a, which is 1. Okay, this reduces to negative 4 over 2, which is negative 2. So the vertex, I know the x coordinate's -2. I'm going to plug that back into the equation. Y equals -2 squared plus 4 times -2 minus 3. -2 squared is 4, plus 4 times -2 is -8 minus 3. So 4 plus -8 is -4, and -4 minus 3 is -7. So this is my vertex. X is -2, y is -7. Okay. Then again, I'm going to create a table with x and y values, and I'm going to look at a couple to the right and to the left. So this x value is -2. So I'm going to do -1 and 0, -3 and -4. So I'm going to go largest to smallest. Okay, so I'm going to plug these in. I'm going to grab a separate sheet of paper, and using my equation, I'm first going to plug in 0. So we have y equals 0 squared plus 4 times 0 minus 3. Simplify that, and we have y equals 0 plus 0 minus 3, which is -3. Next one, plug in -1. Y equals -1 squared plus 4 times -1 minus 3. Simplifies to 1 plus -4 minus 3. And when we combine 1 plus -4 minus 3, we get -6. Okay, next one. Plug in -3. We have y equals -3 squared plus 4 times -3 minus 3. We have y equals 9 plus -12 minus 3. Okay, so when we simplify, 9 plus -12 gives us -3, and -3 minus 3 is -6. Okay, one more. We're going to plug in -4. We have y equals -4 squared plus 4 times -4 minus 3. Simplify, -4 squared is 16 plus 4 times -4 is -16 minus 3. Simplify, these two cancel each other out, so we're left with -3. And we can graph these coordinate pairs. When x is 0, y is -3. When x is -1, y is -6. When x is -3, y is -6. And when x is -4, y is -3. Okay, and connect your points. And you can see the direction the graph is going in. It's going to continue going up. If you want to pick a few more points, you can. Okay, and last one, we know the vertex. Okay, the x coordinate is 1. The y coordinate is 4. And we're going to choose some points after we graph this. X is 1, y is 4. Couple to the right, couple to the left. And so 2 to the right, or 1 to the right would be 2, and the other one would be 3. So I'm going to start with 3, then do 2. We have 0 and -1 to the left. And I'm just going to write these out and plug these numbers into this equation on this piece of paper. Okay, so we have y equals -2 times 3 minus 1 squared plus 4. Going to simplify. We have 2 inside the parentheses. 2 squared gives us 4. -2 times 4 is -8. And I'm just bringing the rest of the problem down. And y is equal to -4. Okay, next one. Again, I'm plugging it into my original equation right up here. I'm going to plug in 2. Y equals -2 times 2 minus 1 squared plus 4. Y equals -2 times 2 minus 1 is 1 squared plus 4. Y equals -2 times 1 plus 4. Y equals -2 plus 4, which gives us 2. Okay, 2 more. We have y equals -2 times, I'm plugging in 0, 0 minus 1 squared plus 4. So we simplify. Y equals -2 times -1 squared plus 4. Y equals -2 times 1 plus 4 because -1 squared is 1. Multiply. -2 times 1 is -2. And y is equal to 2. Last one. Y equals -2 times, plugging in -1 minus 1 squared plus 4. Okay, we have y equals -2. -1 minus 1 is -2. Y equals -2 squared is 4. Y equals -2 times 4 is -8. And -8 plus 4 is -4. So when we graph these, we get x is 3, y is 4. Sorry, -4. X is 3, y is -4. It's hard to see my negative there. When x is 2, y is 2. When x is 0, y is 2. And when x is -1, y is -4. Okay, so this one is facing down because it is multiplied by a negative number on the outside. If it's positive, if the number multiplied by x squared is positive, it will be going up. And if it's multiplied by the negative, it'll be going down. Okay, hopefully this helped you remember graphing quadratic functions.